Well, I've left making a video to the last minute. Never mind. Yeah, and the counter's nice and reflecty, Greg. Well done. But today we're going to be making a Scottish dish called Cranachan. It's a dessert made with oats, as you can see there. We also mix in some cream because it's not a dessert without cream. And to add some flavour, we use honey, raspberries, and an optional ingredient, but if you want to make it authentically, whisky. You don't need much for the recipe, so I just got myself a tiny little bottle. Oh, it's still got the security tag on it. Never mind. Won't take you long. I was able to do this whole recipe in 20 minutes and I was faffing about for camera, so I'm sure you can make it a lot quicker than me. Let's get started. Our first step, we should start this nice and early, is to toast the oats. So there's two ways you can do it. The way I'm sure you can see I'm doing it is just to put them on some parchment paper, sprinkle them with a little bit of sugar and bake them in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes, however long it takes them to smell nice. If you don't have an oven or you can't be bothered using the oven, you can do this just in a dry non-stick pan or a cast iron pan, whatever you have if you want to be fancy. And of course, I'm almost forgetting measurements. Now the recipe called for 2 tablespoons, but I use more because I like oats, but it will make the cream, which you'll see later on, a little bit thicker. Now we're going to take 300 grams of fresh raspberries. They are typically in season in June if you want the British ones. Mine were not. This is April, but never mind. Now take half of the raspberries, put them in any kind of container and muddle them, mash them up until you get yourself a nice raspberry puree. Won't take too long at all. Mine were destroyed in less than a minute. And once you've got them all mashed up, it's time to give them an initial sort of taste and sweeten. So I bought myself a whole bag of caster sugar to use this tiny pinch. So if I've gone overboard in the sugar, I think I just wanted to get maximum value from the bag, but never mind. Now, at this point, give it a little taste. Just make sure that it is very nice and everything. We are still going to sieve it and remove all the seeds, but this just allows you to know you've got it at a good level so far. So get yourself a bowl, a sieve, and dump it all in there, and let's get to sieving. Now, depending on your patience level, you can either just let it sieve all on its own and drip through, you can use a spoon to force it through, or you can even shake the thing around and shake it all up and down to get it all going through. Eventually you will get there, just a little bit of patience is required. But once you have managed to sieve it all through, give it a final taste just to make sure you like it and you're quite happy to mix it in with everything else. If you do need to sweeten it, just add another little bit of sugar. But once you're done, it should look something like this. Mine were very tart, so I did add more sugar. So just judge it by taste and see what you need. Next, we're on to the cream. Now, you're supposed to just use standard double cream for this. I accidentally bought extra thick double cream, as I'm sure you can see here. Anywhere from about 300 milliliters to 500 milliliters. It depends on how many people you're trying to dish this out to. But I just used a 300 milliliter tub, so I didn't end up with the same amount of calories of a 600 milliliter tub going between 2 people. Next, after an initial mix, just pour in 2 to 3 tablespoons of whiskey, depending on how much you like it, and 2 tablespoons of honey. The most recipes call for heather honey, but I couldn't find any. I just used standard cooking and runny honey and it did the job. If you don't have heather honey, just use the standard one. I won't report you. And just give it a final mixing all together until it thickens up. Check on your oats while you're doing this and make sure they're not burned or anything like that. Mine were perfectly cooked, so I put them on a board to cool down and spread out. And then I gave everything in the cream a final mix just until it got to the sort of stiff peak stage, is the best way I can describe it, until it got nice and thick again. And that's essentially all there is to it at this stage. The final step is to make sure the oats are cooled down. You don't want to be putting them into the cream when they're too hot, or you may end up cooking the cream a little bit. But once they're cooled down, dump them in, give them a little mix together, and it is time for assembly to put it all in. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can present it. There is using a tall glass and alternating with a little bit of cream, a little bit of raspberries and puree, repeat. If you're feeling lazy, you can just serve it all in one big bowl. This isn't a dessert that's designed to be too fancy, but I've just decided to use these glasses because I don't use them often enough. And bonus points for presentation here as I spread the cream all the way down the side and everything else. But as you can see, simple technique, cream, raspberries, a little bit of puree, and repeat. I did also see some other recipes that you can use different fruit. You can make a Cranachan using orange instead. You can make it using blueberries. You could probably try it with blackberries. I imagine that would be even tarter than these horrific Moroccan raspberries were. But it's a dessert that can be adaptable, changed, doesn't take too much effort to make in terms of the skill level required. You can whip it up fairly quickly, and as long as you have cream and oats and fruit. And if you don't want to use the whiskey, as I've said earlier, you don't have to. Just freeform yourself until the glass is full. At the top, you can cover it with anything you like a little bit more honey, a little bit of the puree, and even some extra fruit as well if you like. And there you go. That's all there is to it. Let's zoom out here and try something different and see. Oh, hi, Ollie. Yeah, no, you can't have that. Can you get off the counter for the moment? Oh, actually, do you want a raspberry? There you go. So let's see where Greg has to think at the time. I just jumped up now and I've finished. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So, not you're trying raspberries, but this is still very nice. You get like the cream is nice and crumbly because of the oats being in it. There's a slight nutty flavour to it because they've been toasted, and I can't really taste the whiskey, which is good. That means Chloe will like it. But yeah, it's what time is it? It's 11:30 on a Saturday morning, and I'm having whiskey cream and raspberries, so not too bad. But you gonna say goodbye, everybody? So that was just a little quick one. Thanks for watching, everybody.